Incoming transmission.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another transmission from the Outpost Nerd. I'm your nerd, and here we're going to talk about some sad news in the nerd community the past 2 weeks. Sometimes there comes an entertainer, an actor, a singer that really influences a whole genre, a whole group that really they become synonymous with that within that community, and especially for that character. They become the character that the actor we think of when we think of that character. And recently, just about 2 weeks ago, we lost one of, if not the greatest actor to play Batman. Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, passes away at 66 after a brief fight with cancer. This is from the BBC. And, he first started playing Bruce Wayne, Batman, over 30 years ago. Can't believe that it started in 1992. He played Batman in Batman the Animated Series. I was about to turn 4 because it started on September 5th. My birthday was at the end of the month. He was the first actor who played the character to really play a difference between Bruce Wayne, the kind of bumbling, goofy, yet suave, handsome, charming playboy, and then playing Batman, the gruff, serious badass that we all know. Oops, my bad. But he became so synonymous that show. It came out at a time in the late 80s, early 90s. Comics were really going, especially DC and Marvel. They were on the verge of bankruptcy during that time. A lot of them were selling off their characters. Marvel especially was selling off their characters. That's why we got Spider-Man, different Spider-Man than Marvel Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire and all that. A lot of these comics were selling off their characters just to stay afloat. But Batman came around, especially the anime series came out in 92, and really probably revitalized the genre, the comic book genre, and especially say Batman, because it spawned off so many series. Most of those series, Kevin Conroy would still play Batman. He did guest roles on Superman the Animated Series, made by the same production crew, and which in turn spawned off Justice League series where he still played Batman, and that was well into the early 2000s. He played in numerous TV shows and even the Arkham games, except for Arkham Origins, where they wanted to get away. They wanted a different actor to play a younger version of Batman, so they got Troy Baker to do the voice of Batman. And especially, even though he did the voice, he actually got to play a live action version of the character. Where is it? Here we see a older, injured Bruce Wayne live action. This is Kevin Conroy's only live action role where he played Batman, and he played a darker, grittier, kind of more cynical version of the character. What? Daniel Tosh was more to me mid to late 2000s. So, terms, I don't know about that. But oh, you mean this pic? Oh, this is one of my favorite pictures of him, and that pose of Batman is from the opening to the Batman the Animated Series, where he's veiled in darkness until a flash of lightning strikes and illuminates him for a split second. But for Kevin Conroy, the series was just so revolutionary at the time. It was in the last days of hand-drawn animation. It's not computer generated, and you had such an amazing cast. I mean, here you have Mark Hamill as the Joker, which to me is still one of the quintessential Joker performances. That huge laugh that he did. I heard an interview with Kevin Conroy about Mark Hamill's performance, and he says when he does it, he has to. When Mark does it, he has to stand up, and he said the laugh it's like it comes from the bottom of his feet through his whole body, and he gives you that full body maniacal. It starts out soft, and then you get that big cackling laughter, and it's just so powerful. These two, when I read the comics, their voices, and when I read the characters, Batman and Joker, these are the voices I hear. Their performance is just still nearly about 30 years later. Like I said, I was 4, about 31 years later, it is still, to me, what the characters are, who they are, what they sound like. And the show, it was so popular. And I mean, look at this cast. You had Adam West guest starred on an episode, which is one of my favorite episodes. He plays this failed actor who played a Batman-like character called the Gray Ghost. That it was Bruce's childhood hero. It was Bruce Wayne's Batman when he was a kid. His hero, kind of like a real world analog, comparing us and Batman to Bruce Wayne and the Gray Ghost. Gray Ghost, Simon Trent is selling off his memorabilia, and someone is copycatting events from the TV show to bomb spots of Gotham, and he actually becomes the Gray Ghost. He becomes his character. I mean, let's see who else we got in the cast. Donald Glover, who a lot of people remember from another DC show, Smallville, where he played Lionel Luthor, and he played the Riddler, another great character in this show. We have Heather Locklear guest starred, Malcolm McDowell, who for a while he was like one of the go-to actors for a bad guy. I mean, he had that great voice. I can never pronounce his last name. Matt Frewer, who a lot of Disney folks from the 80s and 90s will remember as the neighbor, the big jock neighbor from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. See. And one of the amazing things about Batman the Animated Series, it was the introduction of Harley Quinn. We have Arlene Sorkin, who played Harley Quinn, and this was before Tara Strong, who still plays it a lot to this day, took over for the character. Ed Asner, Mary Tyler Moore fame, he played a character. He played in it. Ron Perlman as Clayface, one of my favorite characters, my favorite Batman villains. He's a failing actor who is getting told he's getting too old for the business, so he gets this cream that he thinks is going to help him, and it turns him into this gelatinous glob of clay where he can transform and just goes on the rampage. Let's see, who else do we have? Kate Mulgrew, Captain Janeway. I forgot she played a villain named Red Claw on the show. Meredith McCree from our parents and grandparents will remember her from Petticoat Junction, a lot of those old 50s and 60s show. Richard Mole, who played Two-Face. Great portrayal of Two-Face. Really, the whole cast was really, the characters were just so well done and well performed. Richard Mole we've seen in Night Court back in the 80s, bit movie parts where he plays the big strong guy. David Warner as Ra's al Ghul. You'll remember him from I remember him specifically from the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. But the whole cast, it was just an amazing cast, an amazing show, gave us some amazing moments. And one of my favorite moments, I'll share one of my favorite moments. It's an amazing, amazing scene that became really a defining moment for not just the series, but the character of Batman. It's one of those moments that even if you're just a really low-key Batman fan, like a lot of people, everyone knows the character. I mean, if you know very little, you'll know this moment. Here let me set it up. Batman, this is from the animated series. He's been contaminated with the Scarecrow's fear toxin, and so he's hallucinating seeing his father, and his father's just telling him, "Bruce, you're not my son. You're worthless. You're nothing." And his response becomes one of the most iconic lines that everyone remembers. Here, let me share it.
To my fear toxin.
Bruce.
No, not now.
You are a disgrace.
The hallucination of his father right there.
You are not my father. I am not a disgrace. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
That incorporates the character so much. I mean, with those three lines, it captures who the character is, what his motivation is, what his goals are. You know, he does it for vengeance. He's out there to keep other little children from suffering the same fate as Batman. Like there's one series, not a Kevin Conroy performance, But someone accuses Batman of using kids like Robin, Dick Grayson, of to fight his battles, and he says something along the lines. He's like, they say to him, you wanted Dick to be like you, and you wanted Robin to be like you, and he said, no, I did this so he wouldn't be like me. He doesn't want other children to suffer pretty much the same fate as him. And I found this other clip recently. There's a MMORPG that I used to play called DC Universe Online, where you create your own DC Universe characters, and you can go in Gotham, you can go in Metropolis, you can go to different settings in the DC world and do missions. And they had this nice little tribute to Kevin Conroy on the I can't get it bigger. Kevin Conroy Memorial at Gotham East End Station. More people showed up throughout the night. That's just such an amazing, man. That just shows you how much impact he had in his performance as this character, this iconic character. That it's tributes like this. And here's a picture of, let me bring this up from Twitter. In Burbank, they have a statue of Batman. Sorry, my computer's a little slow right now. Is that not okay? Come on. Placing flowers at the Batman statue. It's just we lost not just someone who really people found strength in this character. They found through Batman the strength to overcome their own battles with circumstances that sometimes could be out of their control, to make the best and seek the good in bad situations. It didn't matter that he was a millionaire or billionaire playboy who could do all this stuff. The character didn't just fight as Batman. He had charitable organization. He had the Thomas and Martha Wayne Foundation that served the homeless of Gotham. And this character is just there comes a moment when an actor just finds a character that just clicks. And like I said, that becomes their they just mesh and they become synonymous with the character and vice versa. And Kevin Conroy for a lot of us, he is our Batman. You know, you hear people who grew up in the 60s and 50s and 60s and 70s, our parents and grandparents. That was Adam West for them. For my generation, for us born in the 80s who grew up in the 90s, and I would even say for those who grew up in the 2000s, Kevin Conroy will be our Batman forever. And I'll say what I said on Twitter when I found out. I said, and this goes out. I don't expect anyone to hear, any of his family or anyone who actually knew him to hear this, but I'm going to say, rest in peace, Dark Knight. We'll watch over Gotham now. But sometimes sometimes circumstances out of our control take someone like Kevin Conroy. He died of cancer, but just Saturday night news broke of another legend of 90s entertainment passing away. Once again, oh wow, I made it. I had the porn bots on here. Wow, that was the first. We had another, getting back to the series, we had another amazing actor who really taught kids the value of truth, honor, sadly take his own life. Most of you probably don't remember his name, but Jason David Frank, the original Green Ranger, sadly died at 49. As of right now, hasn't been a cause of death that I've heard. But sadly, he was 49. And Frank's, he loved Power Rangers. He loved the kids who grew up with him. He loved the audience. And for 30 years, he was really a brand ambassador for the Power Rangers. He played Tommy Oliver, the original Green Ranger, who the character became so popular. He went on to play 5 different Power Rangers. I mean, he started as the Green Ranger, the evil Green Ranger who was chosen by Rita to overpower the power or destroy the Power Rangers, and who through circumstances became an ally. And he was only supposed to be on for about a few episodes, but he was so popular, they brought him back as his second color, the original White Ranger. And then he became the Red Zeo Ranger, then the Red Turbo Ranger. And he popped up, I think, a few times, but then in the late 2000s, he became the mentor. He took on the mentor role and became the Black Dino Thunder Ranger. So that's 5 times he played a Power Ranger. And it says here while he said in his later half of his career, he became focused on original Power Rangers, such as projects as The Legend of the White Ranger. Like I said, his first appearance was in the Green with Evil saga during the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in '93. But this is from 2 days ago. This article is from comicbook.com and 2 days ago, and I haven't where his representative stated, "Please respect the privacy of his family and friends during this horrible time as we come to terms with the loss of such a wonderful human being. He loved his family, friends, and fans very much. He will truly be missed." He was a mixed martial artist for a very long time, and he actually fought in MMA in 2009 and 2010. It's thought that it's suicide at this point. They haven't said what kind of suicide, how he did it, and he, through his role in Power Rangers, he was able to teach us respect. He taught martial arts as a form of kind of meditation. I remember I had all the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers videos growing up. I had all the toys. I was a typical Ranger kid. I was in kindergarten when it came out, and I remember there was one where it was a martial arts instruction video that he did, and he would. I remember I watched his. He had his own web series called My Morphin Life, which was his. Just how going through his life and how it influenced going to cons. He went to cons all the time and got to meet the fans, and he really loved. He loved the people. He loved the fans. He sadly, something was going on, and that's the thing was. The thing with mental illness is, unlike physical illness, you can't see it. It's something that I can't explain it. I would say in some ways it can be. It takes a person that can be surrounded by 100 people or thousands like JDF and make them feel like they're so alone to the point that suicide can seem like the only answer, but suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And since it happened, since the news broke, many tributes from fans and co-stars have been just coming out, but the most heartbreaking one was, Amy Jo Johnson, who, of course, everyone who watched Power Rangers remembers her as Kimberly the Pink Ranger. And it's the most heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. There's no other word for it. It shows you how much Jason was loved by those who were around, not just the fans. Us fans, we didn't know him. I mean, we may be hurting, but just think of how his family is, how his friends are hurting, how the people who knew him specifically, who worked with him, how they're hurting. And there's really, I mean, it's hard to put it into words. It really is. And I mean, I want to share a moment that it's a sad time. I just want to share a moment that I think any Power Ranger fan, especially my age, our mid 30s, we're the original Power Ranger fans, we're in our mid 30s now. We're adults with children of our own. We're able to share these moments with our children, sharing the excitement that these actors were able to bring through our characters. And I'm gonna share, once again, it's a moment that really probably had a lot of kids cheering when we first saw it. This is Jason's first morph into the White Ranger. He's returned. He's not the Green Ranger anymore. He's returned. And this is their first group morph that I just wanted to share. I mean, if you're a kid, my age, if you were a kid back then and you never and if you say you never threw your hands out and yelled, "It's morphin' time," and then threw karate kicks, jumping off the couch in the living room, and have your mom scream at you, "You better not break any bone, or you better not break anything in my house." Or if you haven't accidentally been throwing karate chops and karate chopped your brother or sister, you're lying. I mean, but it shows that even the biggest smile can hide so much pain. And the worst part is we can never know about it. You will never know about it. It seems he was going through a divorce. He was having a hard time. I mean, so please, if you know of anyone, just reaching out and saying 4 little words to somebody, "How are you doing?" That, and actually meaning it, that can save someone's life. And I don't really want to get in the numbers of suicide rates, get into the nitty gritty. I really want to stay in the realm of hit this incident, but just please check on people, check on someone. If you know someone, a friend or a family member who may be having problems, just ask them how they're doing. That can change their life. It's suicide. Excuse me. In just 2020, there were an estimated 1.20 million suicide attempts. It's the 12th leading cause of death in the U.S. Now you may ask, how can that be possible in a country with as much as America has? We're the most prosperous country in the world. We really don't want for anything compared to other nations. But things and companionship and being there for each other are two different things. And especially with humans being such social creatures, we especially saw, and I'm not going to mention the incident, but what happened during 2020 and how closed off we were forced to become, how isolated we were supposed to be. Humans are not creatures of isolation. We need society. We need communities to survive. Just as much as we need food and water, we need to be social. It's the reason why our ancestors came together in tribes. And those tribes grew into villages, towns, communities, and then into nations like we see today. And just like with Jason, the highest rate of suicide is middle-aged white men. I'm just saying, oh, this is set, an average of 130 per day. And this is the worst part. 93% of us think it could be prevented, but we're not doing anything about it. We're not. We're just letting it happen. We're not putting our tax dollars into the programs that really matter. We're not putting them into mental health programs that we should be. We're not. And you might ask someone, well, someone might say to you, well, we do have these programs, but they're kept secret from us. They're not advertised. They don't say, hey, we can help you. It's kept secret so they can say after the fact, well, we did have these programs for them that could get so they could get help. And when you do get in these programs to get help, there's so much red tape. There's so much keeping you from actually getting the help that you need. The doctors and therapists, they have their hands tied so tightly they can't even wipe their own butt without going and filling out paperwork triplicate. I remember I've gone to therapy. It has helped me. And I wish I could go get more specific, focused help. But at this point, it's not in the cards. I was told by my therapist that I could come and get some paperwork from her signed by her so I could take it to the workforce and get for proof that I was going to this therapy. But her supervisor said, well, no, you can't. I'd have to sign off on this, he said. He was gone for a week at a conference. Why is he at a conference at that time of all times? I just didn't get it. Let's see. I think here's Florida, and ours really peaked, even above the national average in 2018. And we can see a major drop. Let's try some other states. Let's see. Oh. Let's try. There we go. I don't really understand this. Let me. Yeah. And here, just like I said earlier, middle age, it really can ramp up. And let's check. This is terrible. What's other? Does it let me? Will it let me look? suffocations that high, that's terrible. But if you or anyone else you or else have these feelings that you want to end things, please, I'm begging you. Here, I want people to screenshot this, share it. It's the National Suicide Crisis Hotline. It's 3 simple numbers. Just call 988 and they can talk to you. They will talk to you as long as you need it. And, honestly, I've called them before when things have gotten tough, and they really have helped. It just, so just when you think about these two men who did so much, who influenced, who brought so many smiles and happiness to so many children and adults who became adults, who took those lessons and were able to pass it on to their children now. Don't when you think of them, don't think of how they died. Think of how they lived. I'm reminded, one of my favorite movies, it's Tom Cruise movie, The Last Samurai, when the battle's over with, the samurai character, he's dead. Tom Cruise's character goes through the Emperor, and the Emperor looks at him. He's kneeling before the Emperor, and the Emperor looks at him and says, will you tell me how he died? And Tom Cruise looks into the eyes of what many would believe was a god king. And the Japanese thought of their emperors as gods, godlike. He looks at him and says, "No, I will tell you how he lived." So remember how these two men lived. Don't focus on how they died. One who died through circumstances beyond his control, from cancer. And another one who just felt so alone that he sadly decided to take circumstances into his own hands. So remember how they lived. Remember how, when you think of them, remember the good times. Remember how they brought smiles to your face and inspired us for years, for decades. They inspired us. this is something that there's no need, don't thank me. There's no need to thank me. This is something near and dear to my heart. I know you shared yours, Frogs. It's not my story to tell. But I was lucky enough that my brother came through these episodes and still with us. I'll share this. I remember everyone has dreams that they remember so vividly that you'll never forget them. I remember one dream from when I was a kid. I was probably second or third grade. I very, very young. I'm in school. I'm in my classroom, and I get called out by my mom and the principal. I don't know why I had this dream, but I can still, just as clear as day, the school has been torn down and rebuilt since then. I was in elementary school, and I can just remember clear as day the main hallway, staying out in the hallway, the colors, the tans and whites of the hallway, the glass window at the end where the exit sign pointing to the right where the doors were. I mean, that's where we walked out. I just remember, and they had these tables that were on hinges on the walls that when they weren't in use, you would push them up, and they were chains that would hold them up, but then you could put them down, and it had chains. Those same chains would hold the table up, and you could put chairs for the kids. Well, I come out, and my mom and the principal are out there, and I remember the principal leaning down to me, and she tells me my brother's gone. And I remember shooting straight up in bed, scared out of my mind. And me and my brother, we grew up sharing a bedroom, and I had to look over and see if he was still there. It's just that you come out such a vivid dream, you still have that primal fear that you had in the dream due to the circumstances, what was going on in the dream. And luckily my brother was still there, but that dream has always been with me. It's just one of those dreams you never forget. But just remember, like I said earlier, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And there are many nonprofits. There's Salvation Army, United Way, just to name two off the top of my head, that they can help. So please, and there's also like I shared, the National Suicide Hotline. Call 988 if you have problems, if you feel that it is too much. I've been there. I know. I know sometimes even just talking to someone can just lift that huge weight off your shoulder. It's just that burden can just disappear as the words flow. But please get help if you need it. So and just remember, there's always someone out there who loves you. Always. There's always someone who cares. Even if you do feel alone, there's somebody out there. So I wanted to share my thoughts on these two great men and share my thoughts on suicide and how to get help. So I'm going to leave you with what I say every time. Find your passion and nerd out about it. That's it for another transmission from the Outpost Nerd. Thank y'all for joining me. Thank you for listening. You guys are awesome. See ya.